Hello viewers, let's solve for x in this fractional equation. X plus 4 over x plus 2 equal x over 3. I tell my students anytime you have fraction on the left and the right hand side in any given equation, the first step you do is to cross multiply. So if you cross multiply here, so you follow the lines, we have follow the arrowhead here. Okay, so this arrowhead here, we have x plus 4 multiplying 3. So the 3 can come first any which way. Equal, we have x multiplying x plus 2, right? So let's open up the brackets. 3 times x gives 3x, and 3 times 4, that's plus 12. Equal x times x, we have x squared, plus x times 2, we have 2x. Now we are going to rearrange and equate this to be equal 0 because this is leading to a quadratic equation. So here we have x squared plus 2x. You see, these values are not changing their position. Now this 3x becomes a minus 3x and the plus 12 becomes minus 12. Then we equate this to give 0, right? So this becomes x squared plus 2x minus 3x is minus x, and we have minus 12 equal 0. Now, this is the form of a quadratic equation. I've explained quadratic equation in my previous videos. You can go back to check, all right? So a quadratic equation has the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, which is the form this equation has. So we can use factorization method here. We can use formula method. We can use completing the square method. So for the purpose of today's class, we will be using the, what do they call this method? The factorization method. So the first term in the value, the coefficient for the first term here is 1. The coefficient for the last term, let's say, is 12. So 1 times 12 gives 12. Factors of 12, we have 1 and 12, we have 3 and 4, right? So what are two numbers that when you add or subtract, it gives the value of the middle value, which is negative 1. So you say 3 and 4. If you say plus 4 plus 3 minus 4, this gives negative 1, right? So we'll be replacing the minus x with plus 3x minus 4x. So this becomes x squared plus 3x minus 4x. Then we have the last term here, minus 12 equals 0. So at this point, what do we do? Initially, we had 3 times. Now it's increased to 4. So we'll pick the first two, we put in a bracket, right? I'll pick the last two also, we'll put in a bracket. We put them in a bracket. Then next, we factorize. We take the common factors, all right? So the common factor here, what is common in x squared and 3x is x, right? So the common factor here is x. So if you factorize x from x squared, we are left with x. What does that mean? It means if you divide x squared by x, we are left with x, right? And if you factorize x from 3x, we are left with what? 3. That's plus 3. Now moving on to the next bracket, the common factor here is 12. So we have, the common factor here is 4, right? So we have 4, open bracket. If we factorize 4 from 4x, we are left with what? We are left with x. And if you factorize 4 from 12, we are left with what? Minus, okay, this is going to be a plus. Why? Because minus times minus is a what? Is a plus. So plus 3. Meaning that 12 divided by this 4 gives us 3, right? So this equals 0. And one thing about factorization is take note. Whatever you have in the first bracket when you take the common factors must be the same value with what you have in the second bracket. Otherwise, something is wrong. You have to go back and check, all right? So now, since the first and second brackets have the same values, we just pick one of them. So we'll pick x plus 3. Then we'll pick the values outside the bracket, which is this x and minus 4. So we x minus 4 equals 0. Anytime you're solving a problem on that quadratic equation, note that you have two values of your unknown variable, okay? So what this means is x plus 3 equals 0. And also, x minus 4 equals 0. So you say, or x minus 4 equals 0. So now let's get the value of x here. This is x equals 0 plus 3 becomes minus 3. So this is x equals minus 3. So this is the first value of x. So let's get the second value. This is x equals 0. Minus 4 becomes plus 4. So this is x equals 0 plus 4, which is 4. So we have the two values of x as what? So we say x equals minus 3 or 4. So the value of x that satisfies this fractional equation is minus 3 or 4. If you want to find out if the answer is correct, You can decide to pick any of the values gotten, either minus 3 or 4, substitute into the fractional equation, and check if what you have on the left hand is equal to what you have on the right hand. So do that. I want some to pick 3, minus 3. Some should pick 4. Tell me in the comment section, is the answer correct? So see you in my next one.